The other reason that COP26 is important for investors, we should touch on this, is the role that investors are going to play in helping to deliver a net zero transition. And what we're seeing really is different stakeholders coming together in the run-up to COP26 to really kind of state how they're going to make their contribution. And so for us, being part of the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative is our way of sort of showing that we are part of that commitment and part of the investor support to ensure that we can have those conversations with companies and really understand and push them to think about the decarbonisation that's going to be required to meet the targets that have been set out in the Paris Agreement. What we need to recognise is that COP26 requires all stakeholders and all actors to come together kind of to deliver their part. That's why we think it's important to be part of the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. Actually, there are now more than 128 asset managers globally that have signed up to that, representing more than 43 trillion in assets. So that's actually more than half of the assets that are managed globally now signed up to ensuring that we think about net zero and decarbonisation when we're managing our clients' portfolios. So making sure that we've really understood the climate risks, the potential costs of carbon, and also that we're identifying the opportunities. Let's not forget that climate change and this energy transition is going to throw up a huge number of opportunities across different industries, across supply chains, and also thinking about how we kind of communicate and make carbon footprints transparent to the end consumer, so we can ensure that we're helping the end consumer to make climate-friendly choices.
There's often debate and cynicism on the impact that the asset management industry can have on an issue like climate change. And we believe that, to Jenny's point, as investors, we can't manage what we can't measure. And so starting with encouraging companies to disclose their footprints, especially along the lines of carbon in the context of climate change, is a starting point. Once we recognize what the level of carbon emissions are, then we can figure out the likely impact depending on the regions and sectors these companies are in, effectively price them, and at large, each of us does our part as individual investors, as asset managers. That adds up to a picture that then starts to impact the valuations and therefore the cost of capital of companies. And so we see the asset management industry as being that important stakeholder in the success of trying to combat climate change. Certainly there is a lot of pressure on policy and regulation, but we don't see that as in solitude. I think we all have to work together to try and resolve this systemic risk that we're seeing that's impacting society and economies. And as we said before, this is not a risk that you can just diversify away from in your portfolios.